The rain-slicked path in Central Park exploded under my sneakers as I sprinted harder, lungs burning like I'd swallowed fire, desperate to outrun the ghost that had haunted me for 8 years. But then I collided with him, solid, unyielding, like fate had decided to punch me square in the gut, and when I looked up, gasping, Alex's blue eyes locked onto mine, that same crooked smile cracking through the shock on his face. "Thomas," he whispered, voice rough as gravel. And in that single word, the whole damn city crumbled around us again. I shoved him back instinctively, my heart slamming against my ribs like it wanted to escape. Because how the hell was he here? Real and breathing. After I'd buried him in my mind 1,000 times, the downpour masked the tears stinging my eyes. But not the way his hand lingered on my arm, warm and familiar, pulling me back to that summer when New York first broke us both. We'd met in the sticky heat of a Brooklyn rooftop party, the kind where the skyline glittered like a promise nobody kept. I was 22, fresh out of a stifling Midwestern college, chasing dreams of graphic design gigs and anonymity in the city that swallowed secrets whole. Alex was 24. A rising track star from some nowhere town in Jersey, all lean muscle and easy charisma, the guy who made strangers feel like old friends. He spotted me nursing a cheap beer in the corner, sketching fire escapes on a napkin to steady my nerves frayed from coming out to a family that pretended it never happened. "Hey, artist," he'd said, sliding up beside me with that grin that lit up the night. Drawing escape routes? Or just mapping the stars? I laughed. Too loud? Too quick? Because no one had ever seen me like that before, not the real me, the one who ached for something more than polite tolerance. By midnight, we were tangled in a slow dance under string lights, his breath hot against my ear as he murmured lyrics from some indie band I'd never heard. It was electric, the way his fingers traced my spine like he was memorizing every curve, and when he kissed me, soft at first, then hungry, like he'd been starving, I knew I'd found home in a stranger's arms. That summer blurred into a fever dream of stolen moments, lazy mornings in his cramped Astoria apartment, sunlight slanting through blinds as we shared black coffee and stories of small-town shame. He told me about his conservative folks, the coach who outed him after catching him with a teammate in the locker room, the scholarships that dried up overnight. "Running's my freedom, Tom," he'd say, lacing up his Nikes for dawn jogs along the East River. Puts miles between me and all that bullshit. I'd watch him go, admiring the fluid power in his stride, then pull him back to bed when he returned, sweat slick and glowing, our bodies fitting like puzzle pieces we'd both been missing. I fell hard, faster than I knew how to handle. Alex made me believe in the rom-com endings they peddled in Greenwich Village bookstores, 2 guys against the world, carving out a life amid the chaos of subways and street vendors. We talked futures over falafel at 2 a.m., him dreaming of qualifying for the Olympics, me sketching logos for queer nonprofits. "We'll get a place upstate someday," he'd promise, tracing hearts on my thigh with his thumb. "Trees instead of taxis. And a dog that doesn't give a shit about pedigrees." I'd nod, heart swelling, because for the first time, love didn't feel like a risk, it felt like gravity, pulling me exactly where I belonged. But New York has a way of testing that gravity, bending it until it snaps. It started small, Alex's training intensifying, his texts growing shorter, excuses piling up like unread emails. "Coach is riding me hard for nationals," he'd say, collapsing onto the couch after midnight runs, too exhausted for more than a chaste kiss. I'd swallow the hurt, tell myself it was temporary, pour my energy into freelance gigs that barely paid rent. Then came the whispers, teammates at his track club side-eyeing me, calling me the distraction when they thought I couldn't hear. Alex brushed it off at first, pulling me closer in crowded bars, his hand firm on my waist like a shield. But doubt crept in, a slow poison, making me question if I was holding him back from the glory he deserved. The breaking point hit on a crisp October night, leaves crunching underfoot as we walked the High Line after a rare date night. He'd been distant all evening, checking his phone like it held state secrets. "What's eating you?" I finally asked, stopping under a canopy of strung bulbs that mimicked stars. He hesitated, then blurted it out. "Coach wants me to room with Derek for the away meets. Says it'll keep things professional." Derek, the golden boy. Straight as an arrow but with eyes that lingered too long on Alex during cooldowns. Rumors had swirled for months, but hearing it voiced like a verdict gutted me. Professional? Voice cracking. Or is it because I'm the gay boyfriend cramping your style? The words hung heavy, accusatory, and Alex's face crumpled. He grabbed my arms, pleading. "It's not like that. You know I love you. This is just survival," sponsors sniffing around, scouts watching every move. But survival sounded like sacrifice, and sacrifice sounded like goodbye. We argued under the city lights, voices rising until security eyed us like threats. "If you choose this, you're choosing them," I spat, tears hot on my cheeks. He didn't follow when I stormed off into the night, the distant wail of sirens mocking my sobs. Days turned to weeks of radio silence, my apartment echoing with the ghost of his laughter. Then the call came, his coach on the line. Voice clipped and cold. "Alex asked me to tell you it's over. He's focusing on his career." "Don't make this harder." I hung up, shattered, convinced I'd been the fool for believing in us. I packed his hoodie, the one that still smelled like cedar and sweat, into a box marked regrets, and threw myself into work. Dates that felt like auditions. Anything to numb the void. New York swallowed me whole. Its relentless pulse a reminder that love was just another fleeting high. 8 years later, that collision in Central Park ripped the scab clean off. I was 30 now. A mid-level designer at a Soho firm, surviving on oat milk lattes and therapy sessions that chipped away at the walls I'd built. Running had become my ritual, pounding pavement at dawn to shake off nightmares of what-ifs. That morning, the sky had opened up just as I hit my stride, turning the path into a river. I pushed harder, music blasting in my earbuds, until bam, solid chest against mine, coffee spilling like blood between us. "Shit, sorry," I gasped, yanking out my buds, blinking rain from my lashes. And there he was, Alex. Older but achingly familiar, hair cropped short and streaked with early gray, that runner's build honed sharper by time. He wore a Coach's windbreaker emblazoned with NYC Urban Runners, whistle dangling from his neck like a noose. His eyes, those damn blue eyes, widened in recognition, and for a heartbeat, the world narrowed to just us, rain blurring everything else. "Thomas." It wasn't a question, it was a prayer, laced with disbelief and something raw, like regret fermented into ache. His hand shot out to steady me, fingers brushing my elbow, and electricity crackled up my arm. Memories flooding back unbidden, lazy Sundays tangled in sheets, his whispers in the dark promising forever. I jerked away, pulse thundering louder than the storm. "Don't," I muttered. Just don't. But he didn't let go. Not entirely. So, it's really. I coach a group here Tuesdays and Thursdays. You should come. Reconnect with the run. You know. His smile was tentative, boyish almost, as if 8 years hadn't carved canyons between us. I wanted to scream, to demand why he'd vanished without a fight. But the words lodged in my throat, choked by the rain and the ridiculous hope flickering in my chest. Instead, I nodded once, jerked, and bolted, heart racing not from the sprint, but from the terror of what coming back might unleash. That night, alone in my Alphabet City walk-up, I couldn't sleep. The city hummed outside my window, honks and laughter filtering through fire escapes, like it was mocking my unraveling. I pulled out that old box from the closet, the one I told myself was buried, and lifted the lid. There was his hoodie, faded now, and beneath it, a stack of Polaroids, us at Coney Island, cotton candy smeared on his nose, him mid-laugh on the subway, my hand in his lap, that last fight on the High Line, faces blurred by tears but eyes locked in desperate love. I traced his image with trembling fingers, anger warring with longing. Why am after I'd clawed my way to something resembling peace? By morning, resolve hardened like concrete. I wouldn't go. I'd run solo, keep the ghosts at bay. But as I laced up my shoes, the itch returned, that pull toward motion, toward him. Central Park called like a siren. And damn it, I answered. The group was small. A dozen mismatched souls stretching under his guidance, corporate types shedding stress, retirees reclaiming vitality, a few wide-eyed newbies like me pretending this was casual. Alex spotted me immediately, his whistle pausing mid-blow. "Tom, glad you made it." His voice carried across the grass, warm as summer asphalt, drawing curious glances. He led us through warm-ups, demonstrating form with effortless grace, knees high, arms pumping like pistons. I hung back, mimicking from afar, but his eyes found mine too often, lingering with unspoken questions. "Breathe deep," he called during the first loop. Let it all out on the stride, easy for him to say. Every step echoed our history, the marathons we trained for together, his hand on my back during hills, whispering encouragement that blurred into foreplay. After 20 minutes, he dropped beside me, matching my pace effortlessly. "You look good." City's been kind. It was small talk, laced with subtext. And I hated how my body responded, pulse quickening, not just from exertion. Surviving, I shot back, eyes on the path. "Olympic dreams pay off. Or did you settle for coaching wannabes?" He chuckled, low and rueful. "Close, but no gold." Blew out my knee in 18. Now I pass the torch. The beat. Then softer, missed you in the stands. Always thought you'd be there. Cheering louder than anyone. The words landed like a gut punch, stealing my breath. Yeah. Life reroutes you. We ran in silence after that, the gap between us shrinking with each stride. until the session ended and the group dispersed. He caught my arm as I grabbed my towel. Coffee? My treat. Catch up properly. I should have said no. Should have sprinted home to the safety of solitude. But his touch ignited something dormant. A spark I'd doused with years of cynicism. One coffee, I conceded. And just like that, the past clawed its way back in. The diner was a greasy spoon on the park's edge. All Formica counters and waitresses with Jersey accents. We slid into a booth. Steam rising from mugs like unspoken confessions. Alex stirred sugar into his black coffee, avoiding my gaze at first. I fucked up. But after that call from Coach, I froze. Thought letting you go was noble. Like sparing you the mess. Noble? The word tasted bitter on my tongue. You ghosted me. Let your coach play messenger. I waited weeks. Alex, weeks of radio silence. Thinking I'd imagined us. His eyes met mine then. Stormy with guilt. I know. I replay it every damn day. Saw you sketching in that party. All quiet fire. And thought, this guy's it. But the pressure. Track was my out. My identity. Coach hammered that relationships were liabilities. Especially. He trailed off. Gesturing vaguely. You know. Gay ones. I finished. Voice steady but heart fracturing anew. Yeah. I know. Still stings. He reached across the table, hesitating before covering my hand with his, calloused from years of gripping batons. Warm like memory. I'm sorry. For all of it. Seeing you yesterday. It's like the universe saying second chances. I pulled away gently. The contact too much. Too soon. Second chances aren't free runs. Alex. I've got scars from the first lap. But as I left, his number burning in my phone, I felt the pull stronger than ever, a dangerous gravity threatening to upend the life I'd rebuilt. Weeks blurred into a rhythm I hadn't anticipated, Tuesday through Thursday runs turning into post-session coffees, then tentative dinners at hole-in-the-wall spots where we'd laugh over old stories, skirting the edges of what broke us. Alex was different now, wiser, his cocky edge softened by injuries and time. But that spark remained, igniting whenever our knees brushed under tables or his hands steadied me during stretches. I'd catch him watching me, eyes soft with a hunger that mirrored my own nocturnal confessions to the ceiling. One evening, after a grueling hill session that left my quads screaming, he invited me back to his place, a modest brownstone in Harlem, walls lined with track memorabilia and fresh plants he'd clearly overwatered. No pressure, he said, handing me a beer from the fridge. Just wanted you to see where I landed. We ended up on his fire escape. City lights twinkling below like fallen stars. Sharing a joint he swore was medicinal. Smoke curled between us as stories flowed, his post-breakup spiral. Drowning regret in races he won but felt hollow. My climb through freelance hell to stability. Dates that fizzled because no one measured up to his ghost. You were my benchmark, I admitted. Voice hazy. Every guy after. I compared. None stuck. Turned. Face inches from mine. Breath mingling with mine. Same here. You're the one that got away, the love I lost because I was too scared to fight for it. The air thickened. Church. And when his lips brushed mine, testing, it was like coming home to a house you'd torched yourself. I kissed back, fierce and forgiving, hands fisting his shirt as we tumbled inside, bodies rediscovering rhythms long forgotten. That night unlocked a floodgate. Mornings became ours again, him brewing coffee strong enough to wake the dead, me sketching while he stretched, our laughter echoing off exposed brick. Sex was revelation, slower now, reverent, mapping scars and new lines with mouths and fingers. "I love you," he murmured against my skin one dawn, and I believed him, the words mending fractures I'd nursed alone. But shadows lingered. Whispers from his coaching circle reached me, old teammates ribbing him about the ex, sponsors eyeing his stability with side eyes. And then, the bomb, an email from his agent, forwarded in a moment of transparency. A major athletic brand sniffing around for an endorsement, but with a caveat, family values campaign. Keep personal life low-key. Alex downplayed it over takeout that night, fork scraping his plate. "It's just optics. So, we've been through worse. Have we?" I pushed back. Appetite gone. Or is this round 2 of choosing them over us? The argument simmered low, unresolved, but it planted seeds of doubt. Familiar thorns pricking at the bloom of our reunion. As autumn deepened, the runs grew competitive, not just with the group, but between us. He'd challenge me to sprints, his laughter trailing as I pushed limits I'd forgotten I had. "You're a natural, babe," he'd say, pulling me into hugs that turned heated against park benches. The group noticed, teasing us like proud uncles, and for stolen moments, it felt invincible, like we'd rewritten our ending. Yet the undercurrent pulled stronger. Late-night texts from his coach, "Don't let distractions derail you again." Alex deleted them, but I saw the strain in his shoulders, the way he'd linger in the shower, water drowning out sighs. I confronted him one crisp November evening, post-run, as we cooled down by the reservoir. "Talk to me. Is this us a liability again?" He stopped, breath clouding the air. "No. Hell no. I've built walls around this, for a reason. But yeah, it stings. The world's not changed as much as I'd hoped." "Then fight it," I urged, grabbing his jacket. "Like you should have 8 years ago." His nod was fierce, but doubt flickered in his eyes. A storm brewing I couldn't outrun. The betrayal came swift as a sprinter's false start. It was a Friday, group off, but I swung by his track club unannounced, armed with takeout from our favorite Thai spot, hoping to surprise him after a long day. The facility loomed like a concrete cathedral, echoes of whistles and pounding feet greeting me as I pushed through the doors. Voices drifted from the office, his coach's gravelly timbre, then Alex's, low and conciliatory. "Look, it's not personal. The deal's on the table, 6 figures. National spots. But they want clean. No headlines about, the boyfriend thing blowing up again." The pause. Then Alex, "I get it. Tom's great, but timing's shit. I'll handle it. Keep things quiet till the ink dries." My stomach plummeted, the paper bag crinkling in my fist like a death knell. I backed away, heart hammering, fleeing into the gathering dusk before they emerged. The subway ride home was a blur, strangers' stares blurring with tears I refused to shed. Back in my apartment, I hurled the food at the wall, sauce splattering like blood, then sank to the floor, sobs racking me. History on repeat, love offered, then bartered for ambition. How could I have been so naive? He showed up at midnight, pounding on my door like thunder. Tom, open up, I know you're in there. I let him in, face streaked and furious, words spilling before he could speak. Overheard you. Handle it? What am I? Alex, a face to shelve for the cameras. His face drained of color. Realization dawning. It wasn't, he raked hands through his hair, pacing my cramped living room. Coach cornered me. Pushed the narrative. Like always. I was stalling, buying time to tell you first. Swear it. Bullshit, I snarled, shoving his chest. Same playbook, me as the dirty secret, you as the golden boy. I'm done being your consolation prize. The fight escalated, voices rising until neighbors banged on walls, accusations flying like shrapnel. You never changed, I yelled. Just waited for the next excuse to bail. He grabbed my wrists, not to hurt but to anchor, eyes wild with desperation. I love you. Damn it, more than medals, more than any deal. Walk if you want, but I'm not running this time. We collapsed onto the couch, exhausted, his forehead against mine as sobs mingled. Forgive me, he whispered. Or teach me how to fight right. Dawn found us tangled in sheets. Not in passion but in fragile truce, talking through the wreckage. Boundaries redrawn like fresh track lines. He called his agent that morning. Voice steady, pass on the deal. My life's not for sale. The fallout was swift, whispers in the club. Sidelong glances, but he stood tall, hand in mine during group runs. Our story no longer hidden. Winter blanketed the city in hush, but our love thawed into something resilient. We moved in together that spring, a cozy walk-up in Washington Heights. Windows framing the George Washington Bridge like a vow. Runs became metaphors, side by side. No one leading, pushing through aches toward horizons we chose together. Alex's coaching flourished, his authenticity drawing crowds who saw past the labels to the heart of the stride. One humid July morning, 8 years to the day since our rooftop spark, he dropped to one knee on that same Brooklyn rooftop, now ours, strung with lights we'd hung ourselves. Thomas Hale, he said, ring glinting in his palm, a simple band etched with running shoes. You were my first love, my greatest loss, and now my forever win. Marry me? Tears blurred the skyline as I pulled him up, kissing him fierce under the relentless sun. Yes, I breathed. 1,000 times. New York roared approval below. Horns and chatter a symphony to our yes, a city that breaks as often as it binds, teaching that true races aren't won alone, but hand in hand, scars and all. In the end, it wasn't a fairy tale. No Hollywood gloss. We argued over grocery lists, navigated family holidays with stiff smiles and private debriefs. But in the quiet miles we logged together, at dawn, breath sinking, hearts aligned, we found the human truth. Love isn't the absence of betrayal or pain, but the choice to lace up anyway, to run toward each other through every storm. And in that relentless pursuit, we discovered home wasn't a place, but the man who made every step worth the burn. The engagement buzzed through our circles like wildfire, texts from old friends, toasts at dive bars where we'd once drowned sorrows. But beneath the joy, fractures lingered, testing our rebuilt foundation. Alex's knee acted up during long runs, a reminder of fragility, while my freelance deadlines clashed with his coaching schedule, sparking late-night snipes over who forgot to unload the dishwasher. "We're not perfect," he'd say, pulling me close after a spat. "But we're us, flawed and fucking fabulous." Summer faded into a golden September, leaves turning like pages in a well-worn journal. We hosted a small party on our rooftop. The same one fate had scripted our beginning, inviting the running crew and a few survivors from our pasts. Laughter echoed as beers clinked, stories overlapping in that chaotic New York symphony. Dirk showed, older, softer around the edges, no longer the specter of jealousy but a buddy who'd apologized years ago over awkward emails. "You too glow," he told me by the railing, city lights winking below. "Don't let the world dim it." Alex caught my eye across the crowd, his smile a beacon, and I felt it then, the depth of what we'd salvaged. Not unscathed but stronger, like kintsugi gold veining cracks in porcelain. Later, as guests thinned, we slow danced to a playlist of our youth, his chin on my shoulder. "Scared," he murmured. "Terrified," I admitted. "But with you, worth every heartbeat." Fall brought planning, venues scouted in hidden gardens, suits tailored in the garment district, vows scribbled on napkins during coffee runs. My family flew in from Ohio, Mom with her tentative hugs, Dad's gruff, "Proud of you," son, masking old discomforts. Alex's folks were trickier. His call to them post-proposal had been a minefield of silences and, "We're happy for you." In time, they sent regrets for the wedding, but a check for the honeymoon, progress, bittersweet as autumn apples. Through it, the runs anchored us. Mornings in Prospect Park now, cooler air sharpening our breaths, groups swelling with new faces drawn by Alex's rep. He'd lead drills with infectious energy, then pull me aside for private challenges, beat me to the bridge. "And you pick dinner." I'd surge ahead, wind whipping my face, victory tasting sweeter when he'd catch up, sweeping me into a kiss that left us breathless and late. But shadows crept with the equinox. An article dropped in a local sports mag, from track star to trailblazer, Alex Kane's comeback story, framing his journey as redemption, but glossing our relationship as personal motivation without naming me. It stung, a subtle erasure, and I confronted him over Thai delivery, pad CU cooling untouched. "Am I your footnote again?" He winced, scrolling the piece on his phone. It's PR fluff." They asked for quotes, I gave the safe version. "Protecting us from the trolls. Or from scrutiny?" The old wound reopened. "I don't need shielding, I need you all in." We talked it out till midnight. His apologies earnest. Promises to push back harder next time. Commended, but left a scar. A reminder that visibility came with barbs in a world still learning tolerance. November mirrored our first collision, rain lashing the city, paths treacherous. I was midway through a solo loop when my phone buzzed. "Alex?" Voice tight. "Club drama." Coach retired abruptly. "They're pushing me for interim head." "Meet me after?" I agreed, heart lifting at the opportunity. But arriving early, I overheard board members in the lobby. "Kane's solid, but that personal angle might scare donors." "Tone it down." Fury boiled as I waited, composing texts I deleted, accusations, ultimatums. When he emerged, flushed from a meeting, I pulled him into the empty track. echoes amplifying our whispers. They're at it again, your personal life as leverage. His shoulders slumped, defeat etching lines around his eyes. I know. Offered to step back. But they want me. But navigate carefully. Navigate. Pace quickening like a warm-up. Or sideline me? The argument spilled onto the infield. Voices bouncing off bleachers, me demanding transparency, him pleading for balance. I won't hide us, I shouted finally, storming out into the downpour, leaving him calling my name like a plea lost in thunder. Home was a war zone that night, slammed doors, silences thicker than fog. He arrived soaked, dripping apologies onto the doormat. You're right. Every time. I cave because it's habit, survival mode from back when. We circled each other, then collided, not in anger, but embrace. Rain mingling with tears. Help me break it, he begged. Be my coach in this. I did. Next meeting, he strode in with me on his arm, introducing my partner. Thomas, the reason I run true. Gasps rippled. But he held firm. Pitching a program inclusive of queer athletes. Donors be damned. The board balked. But momentum shifted, new supporters emerging from the shadows. Voices like ours amplifying the call. Winter's grip loosened into tentative thaws. Our wedding a beacon amid the gray. We chose a loft in Chelsea. Exposed beams and fairy lights framing vows we'd honed like mantras. I choose you. In miles and in stillness. Rings exchanged under a canopy of friends. Derek best man. Toasting our resilience. My sister. Vowing anti-duties to future pups. Alex's kiss sealed it. Soft and sure. The room erupting in cheers that drowned old ghosts. Honeymoon in the Adirondacks, cabins by glassy lakes. Hikes where we'd pause to trace constellations. Bodies entwined by firelight. This is us, he'd whisper. Fingers laced in mine. No reroutes. Just the path ahead. Back in the city. Life layered on. My firm promoting me to lead designer. Alex's club thriving with diverse recruits. Our brownstone filling with dog hair from Milo. The mutt we'd adopted on a whim. Conflicts arose, bills stacking like hurdles. Egos clashing over chores, but we ran through them. Therapy sessions our cool down. Laughter our recovery. One spring dawn. 8 years post-reunion. I woke to him gone. Bed cold. Panic flared until I found him on the fire escape, staring at the awakening skyline, coffee steaming in his mug. Penny, Beth, sliding beside him. Just grateful, he said. Lost you once. Won't again. His hand found mine. Thumb stroking the band on my finger. Below. The city stirred, commuters hustling, vendors calling. A reminder that love, like New York, was gritty, unyielding, alive with possibility. We ran that morning, pace steady, breaths in sync. Not chasing finish lines, but savoring the stride, the human ache of having loved and reclaimed. In every heartbeat, every shared glance, we wrote our epilogue, not flawless, but fiercely ours. And in that relentless rhythm, we found grace, not in perfection, but in the beautiful, battered art of coming home. Years folded like well-worn maps. Our life a tapestry of marathons both literal and figurative. By 38. I'd launched my own studio, Hale Designs, specializing in queer-centric branding, logos that screamed visibility from billboards to book covers. Alex, 40, had transformed the club into a non-profit powerhouse. Scholarships for underprivileged runners. Pride flags fluttering at every meet. Milo, gray-muzzled now, greeted us with enthusiastic limps, his wagging tail a metronome to our evenings. Bubbies, like a long training run, invited unexpected hills. It started with a letter, crisp envelope from Alex's alma mater, inviting him as guest coach for their alumni showcase. Big honor, he said over breakfast, eyes alight. Relive the glory days. Show the kids real grit. I nodded, pride swelling, but unease stirred. Jersey roots? Old coaches? Echoes of the man he'd buried. He returned that weekend wired, buzzing with anecdotes, but quieter at night, staring at ceilings as if decoding stars. Spill, I prompted one evening, pausing my sketchpad. He hesitated, then met my old man there. First time in years. Tis trying. Said he's sorry for the silence, the shame. My pencil stilled, heart twisting. And Alex's dad had been the archetype of toxic stoicism, beer gut and Bible verses weaponized against his son's truth. Their last clash, post coming out, had been fists and disownment. He asked about us. About you. Alex's voice cracked. Called you the one who stuck. Progress. Right. I pulled him close. But doubt not, reconciliation as bomb or Pandora's box. The showcase weekend loomed. Alex jetting back for a follow-up clinic. I waved him off at LaGuardia, kissing him fierce amid harried travelers. Call if it gets heavy, I murmured. He nodded, but his hug lingered, a premonition unspoken. The call came Sunday night, voice slurred with bourbon and bad news. Tom. Dad sick. Cancer. Stage 4. The words landed like a baton drop. Fumbled and final. I booked the first flight, arriving to a sterile hospital room where Alex paced like a caged panther. His mother, frail, silver-haired, clutching a rosary in the corner. We navigated the minefield, awkward meals in the cafeteria. Dad's gruff, thanks for coming. Son-in-law, a olive branch wrapped in rust. Stories emerged, his own hidden youth. A college fling with a roommate cut short by fear. I failed you, he admitted to Alex one dusk. Machines beeping like metronomes. Paying for it now. Forgiveness flowed halting, tears and handshakes. Not erasures, but steps. Back home, the weight settled. Alex threw himself into runs, ultras that spanned boroughs, punishing his body for emotions untethered. I joined when I could, matching his fury with quiet endurance. But cracks showed, snapped words over nothing. Nights he slept on the couch, Milo whining between us. Talk, I insisted one rainy afternoon, cornering him post-shower, towel slung low. This isn't just Dad. It's all of it, the past clawing back. He deflated, sinking to the bed. What if I'm him? Cycling the same bullshit, hiding parts to fit molds. The vulnerability gutted me. This was the boy from the rooftop. Raw and reaching. You're not, I said, cupping his face. You chose us. Every damn day. We made love then, slow, reclaiming. Body's a language of absolution. But the specter lingered, testing vows in subtle erosions. Spring bloomed defiant. Dad's treatment's a roller coaster of hope and hollows. We shuttled between cities. My studio on autopilot, Alex's club leaning on assistance. One June evening, post-chemo vigil, we escaped to a Jersey boardwalk, salt air and Ferris wheels a-bomb. "Remember Coney?" he asked. Cotton candy in hand, pink sugar dusting his lips. "How could I forget?" I grinned, licking it off. The kiss sweet and salty. Laughter bubbled, light piercing grief's veil. But as stars pricked the sky, he grew solemn. "If he goes, promise we keep running. Together, always," I vowed, the ocean's roar sealing it. July brought the end, hospice quiet, family gathered in hushed vigil. Alex held his hand through the last breath, whispering, "I forgive you. Love you." We buried him under Jersey pines. Eulogy Alex's, a son's tribute to imperfect love. Resilience forged in fractures. Grief hit like a wall, Alex withdrawing into solitary miles. Me sketching memorials that blurred with tears. Therapy became our lifeline. Sessions unpacking inheritance, how loss unearthed old wounds, demanding we redefine family on our terms. Autumn healed in increments. Milo's walks lengthened, our runs rediscovering joy, group events where kids he'd mentored crossed finish lines. Beaming. One crisp morning in Central Park, the site of our collision, Alex proposed a new ritual, annual reset runs, loops dedicated to letting go. As leaves carpeted paths, we sprinted side by side, breath sinking, past whispering of first hooks and heart races. "We're the story now," he panted, grinning. "The one that sticks." Winter whispered of renewal, my exhibit at a queer art fest. Alex's TEDx talk on inclusive athletics, viral for its raw honesty. We adopted Luna, Milo's spry sister, chaos doubling but love multiplying. Conflicts ebbed, arguments over holiday cards to estranged relatives, but resolved with wine and walks. Wisdom tempering fire. By 42, gray threaded our hair like silver medals, bodies softer but strides sure. A milestone run, New York City Marathon. Him pacing elites, me in the masses. At the finish, amid confetti and cheers, metal heavy, lifting me in a spin that drew whoops. "My champion," he murmured, kiss salt-laced. That night, rooftop under stars, Milo and Luna at our feet, we toasted survivals. "To first loves," I said, clinking glasses, "and the races that bring them home. To us," he had, eyes blue as ever, holding infinities. New York thrummed below, eternal witness to our arc, from loss to legacy, heartbreak to heartbeat. In every step, we'd learned love's true sprint isn't speed, but stamina, the grace to falter, forgive, and fly. Decades etched their quiet revolutions, our life a well-trodden trail of triumphs and tumbles. At 50, I helmed a thriving agency, Ments filling my office with sketches that echoed my early napkin doodles, bold, unapologetic queer narratives splashed across global campaigns. Alex, 52, had scaled his nonprofit into a national network. Tracks from Seattle to Miami buzzing with diverse dreams. His knee brace a badge of battles won. Milo passed gently at 15. A sunny afternoon nap turning eternal, we buried him in the upstate plot we'd finally bought, that cabin retreat promised in youth. Now our sanctuary of sycamores and streams. Luna mourned with us, nose to the earth. But puppies came, first Rufus, a lanky lab mix, then siblings that turned our brownstone into a joyful kennel. Grandkids arrived unexpectedly, my sister's twins, gap-toothed terrors who called us Uncle Tom and Papa Alex, tumbling through Central Park picnics with demands for piggyback races. Alex doted, hoisting them high, his laughter booming like thunderclaps, while I captured it all in photos, moments for the album we'd vowed to fill. Yet age brought insidious foes, my vision blurring mid-sketch. Forcing glasses I pretended were intellectual, Alex's hip protesting long clinics. Cortisone shots his reluctant allies. We'd tease over morning ibuprofen rituals, old man fuel, he'd quip, but beneath, fear simmered, time's inexorable stride, outpacing our own. A scare crystallized it, routine checkup revealing my blood pressure spiking. Doc's warning stern, ease the throttle. Thomas. Heart's not invincible. Alex hovered through the follow-up, hand in mine during echo scans, his stoicism cracking only in the car ride home. Can't lose you, he muttered, knuckles white on the wheel. Not after all this. You won't, I soothed. But resolve hardened, lifestyle pivots, shorter runs, yoga mats unrolled in living rooms. We adapted, turning limitations into intimacies, slow dances in kitchens to Sinatra, sketching sessions where he'd model, grizzled and glorious, lines I'd trace with pencil and lips. External tempests brewed too. A political shift, new admin slashing arts funding, threaten my agency. Layoffs looming like storm clouds. Alex's network faced backlash, conservative donors pulling support over woke initiatives, protests at meets chanting slurs that echoed our youths. Deja vu, he growled over news feeds, fist clenched. Just when we thought we'd outrun the bigots, we fought back, me rallying creatives for advocacy campaigns, viral visuals that trended run free, him testifying at hearings, voice steady as he invoked our story, love built this. Hate won't break it. Solidarity surged, donations doubling, allies marching, but exhaustion etched deeper. Nights where we'd collapse into bed, limbs entwined, whispering gratitudes like lifelines. Climax crested in a blistering August, heat wave baking the city into submission. Alex's keynote at a national conference, live-streamed from Lincoln Center, promised to cement his legacy, from hidden laps to open tracks, queerness in sport. I watched from the front row, heart swelling as he owned the stage. Anecdotes weaving our collision to triumphs. Vulnerability his superpower. Then, mid-speech, a heckler stormed the aisle, red-faced zealot with a sign scrawled, "Abomination," lunging with vitriol that sprayed like venom. Chaos erupted, security tackling. Audience gasping. Alex frozen mid-sentence. I vaulted the barrier, adrenaline surging, shielding him as fists flew, mine connecting once. A glancing blow born of primal rage. Cameras captured it all. Headlines screaming, "Gay icon's fiancé fights back," by dawn. Backlash boomeranged, supporters hailing heroism, detractors branding us thugs. Alex retreated, bruises blooming on his ego more than body, pacing our cabin escape where we'd fled post-incident. Ruined it, he muttered, staring at lake ripples. My moment, tainted. Yours, I challenged, bandaging a split knuckle. Ours. And it wasn't ruined, it roared. We dissected it over fireside whiskeys. His head on my shoulder as stars wheeled. "Proud of you," he finally said. My night in scuffed Nikes. Fall mended with momentum, conference footage going mega-viral. Funding pouring in. Invites flooding. We channeled it, expanding scholarships, launching anti-hate workshops, turning venom to velocity. By 60, silver crowned us fully, but fire undimmed. Retirement teased, me guest lecturing, Alex consulting from hammocks. We traveled, Amalfi Cliffs where he'd propose again on a whim. Ring from a street jeweler, Tokyo trails blending urban pulse with Zen strides. Homecoming sweeter, Rufus's grandpups yipping welcomes. A quiet conflict surfaced at 65, my hands trembling over canvases. Parkinson's whisper in the diagnosis. Alex's face crumpled at the consult, but rallied, research marathons, adaptive gear hunts, his optimism a buoy. "We'll run this too," he vowed, adapting our routes to gentle loops, hands clasped when mine shook. His own decline mirrored, early dementia flickers, names slipping like loose laces. We'd laugh through mix-ups, "Who's that handsome stranger?" I'd tease when he blanked on a neighbor, but nights brought tears. Him gripping my shirt, "Don't let me forget us." "I won't," I'd promise. Retelling our saga like bedtime lore, rooftop sparks, park crashes, rooftop rings. Therapy evolved to memory journals, videos of runs narrated with inside jokes. The end tiptoed in at 72 for him. A stroke felling the runner mid-stride during a park walk. Hospital sterile. Our kids, nieces and nephews by choice, gathered. Luna's successor whining at his bedside. He woke groggy. My face the first he sought, Tom. "We made it. All the way," I whispered, kissing his brow. Rehab was grueling, physical therapy echoing his coaching days. Me his cheer squad of one. He relearned steps. I steadied his elbow. Our pace glacial but shared. 75 brought reciprocity, my mobility waning. Wheelchair days dawning. Alex, cane in hand, pushed with stubborn grace. Quips masking strain. "Your chariot awaits." "Milord." Friends visited, Derek. Silver-haired and widowed. Swapping war stories, men's-bearing art that adorned our walls. Legacy crystallized in a documentary, Heartbeat Miles, the Alex and Thomas story, premiering at Tribeca. Cheers thundering as our collision reel played. Post-screening Q&A. Tenderness. I fielded. "How'd you endure?" "Love's not endurance," Alex interjected. Voice gravelly but gold. "It's the run itself, Ix." Paul. Baby. Frailty confined us to the brownstone. But windows framed the world, park paths where shadows jogged. Skyline winking complicit. Afternoons blurred into reminiscences, Polaroids passed like batons. Laughter punctuating silences. One equinox eve, as sun dipped gold, turned to me, eyes clear as first sight, best race ever. "You? With you?" Every mile. His hand squeezed mine. Pulse faint but fierce. He slipped away at dawn. Breath easing into eternity. Milo's spirit waiting at the line. Grief hollowed me. But runs, now metaphorical, paced by memories, carried on. I mentored from my armchair. Agency thriving under protégés. Alex's network a beacon. At 85. Penning this file. Inked for posterity, I sit by the window. City humming hymns to lost loves reclaimed. He was my first, my forever, in New York's relentless beat. We raced not to win, but to live, human, heartbroken. And in that finish, grace, love endures, not in perfection, but in the echo of footsteps, side by side, forever.